Hello everyone and welcome back to the second episode of Sports Chat, and I'm your host Rishabh Jain. Today we have one of the rising superstars, Ashley Chandrasinghe, who made his century on the debut of Sheffield Shield season last year, and we are here to have a chat with him. Welcome Ashley, and how is it being with you?
Yeah, thanks for having me. Yeah, it's been pretty good. Happy to be here. It's yeah, great little facility here, so happy.
So, like, just tell us about your background, like when you started playing cricket, and like how did you start, like who was your role model and everything?
Yeah, probably started just probably like any other kid. Probably going to the nets with their dad, and then playing sort of junior cricket in local nets, and probably started local cricket when I was 7. And during that time, I probably looked up to players like Mike Hussey and Kumar Sangakkara, who they're both left-handed as well as I am, so they were pretty good sort of role models to look up to and try mimic my play off them. Yeah.
That's good. So, just to let you know, Ashley is a left-hand batter. That's why he idolizes Kumar Sangakkara. So, next question, like, what is your routine like? Is it like you get up at 5:30, train, how is your routine like?
Yeah. So the routine's pretty pretty sort of standard. Like nothing really that special. We just we have a series of gym sessions, running sessions, bat v bowl sessions. If we want extra hits in the nets and stuff, we can sort of get that. It's there's probably there's a few like minimum standards you got to meet, but there's a lot of us just try to do a little bit more, just to work on whatever we want to work on in the nets. And yeah, it's pretty much how the schedule is sort of run. Yeah, so just a few gym and running sessions there, and then you top ups in the middle for your net sessions.
That's good. Coming to the point, century on the debut, Sheffield Shield. How was it like?
Yeah, I mean it was pretty fast turnaround from I was in Brisbane the week before playing a second 11 game, and then I got told I was picked in the squad for the Shield game in Hobart, so that was pretty quick turnaround, and I was pretty surprised actually, but I was obviously excited to head over there and to be able to actually play and do well in my first game was really cool experience, and it's something I'll definitely remember for a long time.
So, what did you think like when you went to the field and you saw like your idolized players like Peter Hanscom and other players? So, when you got to know that you're opening the batting on the day one, how did you feel? Like, what was your feelings? Like, were you nervous? Were you like, yes, I have to go and make a run? Like, I have to score a century? Was it like behind your mind, or was it like?
Yeah, I mean, well, I was actually batting at 3, so I had some time to wait, which is probably good, I think, because I had some time to settle in the nerves. And then when I was sort of walking in, there was, I don't know, like, I think everyone sort of wants to do, really well on their debut, but, it's probably not, you can't really think about that when you're, facing up to, Peter Siddle or whoever else, Peter Siddle, who I was facing up first ball. But yeah, I think I just tried my role in the team was just to bat as long as I can and fight as hard as I can, which is what Chris Rogers, sort of wanted me to do in the lead up to that game. So that's just what I tried to do, and I was lucky enough to stay out there for long enough and get some runs as well, which is nice.
So, like when you were facing Peter Siddle, Jackson, and Riley Meredith, how scared were you? Like, oh God, these have played Australia and like they're bowling really hard, and you batted for a long time, like 300 plus balls, and you ended up with a century. So how was it like facing those quicks?
Yeah, it was definitely a pretty cool moment because I've watched Jackson Bird and Peter Siddle sort of play for Australia when I was a bit younger, and yeah, like you sort of know how from the telly, like you can sort of know what their run up looks like from behind, and then like you're facing it from the front, which felt like a weird sort of parallel. But yeah, like that was a really cool moment. But like I just try not to think that you're facing Peter Siddle or Jackson Bird or Riley Meredith, and then obviously you sort of feel those sort of thoughts come in when you're early on in the innings, but then as you sort of faced a few balls and got a little bit more comfortable, then you were just sort of playing the ball more rather than the player.
Mm-hmm. So when you finished on 61 on day one, what were your thoughts? Like, were you aiming for a century, or were you thinking like, I have to take my team to a good score, and I have to like bat as long as I want to? But like, were you thinking about the century? Because scoring a century on debut, you have like just joined the greats. So what are you thinking?
Yeah, when I was sort of not out after day one, yeah, it's sort of an interesting feeling because you got to start all over again tomorrow. But yeah, it wasn't probably. Maybe there would have been some sort of thoughts of making 100 and that sort of stuff. But it was probably good because I was rooming with Travis Dean at the time, and we sort of talked about how the day is going to sort of roll because I obviously didn't really have any clue. It was my first game, but yeah, he just sort of said that you just keep batting, and yeah, it's what I tried to do, and was lucky enough to get to 3 figures, which was yeah, pretty cool.
So, like coming to your pre-match, like when you made your debut, you scored 5 centuries for Darwin. So did that experience help you?
Yeah, I definitely think yeah, playing in Darwin helps me as a player. I spent 3 seasons playing for the Waratah Cricket Club over there, so I definitely think that sort of helps me as a player because you're playing lots of games in the winter where at the time a lot of players weren't really doing much during the winter, so I felt like I was getting a bit of an advantage there. But yeah, that period of time where I got to score 5 tons, yeah, that was I probably actually didn't really feel that great during that period, but it was good to sort of just like, even though I wasn't feeling that great, I was still sort of able to stay in there and score some runs, which was, I don't know, felt like it gave me some confidence coming into my debut and the Victorian season coming up.
So, like scoring 5 centuries, and you had been going to Darwin since 2018, was it?
2018 I played for Waratahs, yeah.
So like playing there.
2020, sorry, yeah.
So playing there and like getting some runs behind your back before making your debut at Sheffield Shield, were you like think that I have some runs behind my back and I can go and dominate?
I definitely wouldn't say dominate, but yeah, I mean, like when you score a few runs, like it sort of gives you that confidence that there's some belief and gives you that sort of encouragement that you can sort of succeed. So that definitely helped me in sort of good stead. I think coming in to the game with like a good frame of mind. I think if I probably wouldn't have been able to be picked up in the squad if I maybe didn't score those amount of runs. So yeah, it definitely helped with the confidence sort of side of things, and yeah, held me in a good position to sort of play the game.
So even like in your last game of Sheffield Shield, you faced around 200 balls and
yeah, like 280 or something like that.
280 or something. So like playing long innings, has it been like since your childhood that you aim to play long and be on the crease for a long time, spending time hitting the ball in the right areas? So has it been playing the long innings since your childhood, or did you just pick it up like when you train, like, I have to stay on crease because I like facing the ball?
Yeah, it's probably something that I've been doing since I was pretty young, I suppose. I think like I was always sort of taught that like you can't make runs, if you're not batting out in the middle. So that was, under my coach, Owen Mathau. So that's sort of what his sort of, theory is. So yeah, I suppose that's sort of what it's sort of just been drilled in me from that young age. And then from there, it's just trying to build on that. And yeah, obviously that Shield final faced a lot of balls. But yeah, obviously it's probably not how I want to bat during that game, but hopefully find some more scoring options and stuff, which is what we're doing in this pre-season at the moment. So yeah.
So how is the pre-season training going? Because you have big targets, I would say, because you got recently selected in the Victoria contracts. And like, how is your pre-training be going? Because as you told that you are going for nets practices and everything. So yeah.
Yeah, so it's actually my first, well, technically my first pre-season because last season I was in Darwin during the pre-season period. So yeah, it's been really enjoyable. I think just like, you know, all the boys are together, you know, pretty much every day, you know, doing their fitness stuff and still being able to go into the nets and, you know, work on whatever I want to work on. So yeah, it's been really enjoyable and yeah, it's only week 2, but yeah, it's been really fun.
That's good. One question: when did you when you met Damien Fleming? How was the experience? Because he had played for Australia. We used to see him bowling in like matches, taking stumps out of the ground and like running in the ground all the way. So that personality, when you met, how did you feel?
Yeah, so obviously through Casey South Melbourne, he was the bowling coach, I think in the 2021 or 2020, 2021 season, I think. So that was my first real season in the first 11. So I got to spend you know, a bit of time with him and around the group, which is really cool because obviously he's, you know, a very well-known player for Australia. So yeah, he was really cool just to sort of you know, just to talk to, just you know, act as a sounding board sort of thing. And yeah, it was just good to talk to you. Like I'd explain what, you know, what I'm trying to work on, and he'd, you know, sort of give his thoughts as well. So yeah, he was definitely you know, a great help for myself and obviously everyone at the club, because obviously he's just, you know, has a wealth of knowledge.
Yeah.
So everyone tries to utilise that.
So how influential has he been in your journey till now?
Yeah, I mean, as I sort of said before, it was good, really good to sort of you know, listen to what I was trying to work on and sort of just gain his feedback off that as well. And I think it was just good encouragement because he's, you know, very positive sort of guy. So you know, felt like every time you spoke to him, you're feeling better about yourself. So yeah, he was definitely, you know, and not just me, probably for sure, other guys around the club was definitely sort of beneficial having him there.
That's great. So um, recently you went to the Boxing Day test match. You met a few players, not met a few players only, but made it to the substitute fielder. So like, how was the feeling with the MCG crowd shouting for Australia and you being just in the middle of it, and like, oh, it's a good place to be.
Yeah, for sure. It was yeah, it was a really great experience. Yeah, when I got asked to do it, I thought, yeah, it'd be a great opportunity to, you know, be at the MCG on, you know, Boxing Day test. And yeah, it was a really good game to be at and watch. And obviously, I was sort of focusing more on the game because, you know, I'm running the drinks and
Yeah.
you know, everything's got to be prepared when I'm running the drinks. And yeah, no, it was just such a great experience. You know, the crowd was really cool. So yeah, it was just a really great experience to be a part of, and yeah, it was a good win as well.
So who all did you meet in the dressing room? Like everyone, or like who was the friendliest among all?
Yeah, well, I pretty much met most of them, and I was pretty lucky where Marcus Harris and Scott Bowen were there as well. So obviously playing with them before in you know, for Victoria, that sort of helped you know, break the ice in the room a little bit. But yeah, probably I pretty much met everyone. I think probably Nathan Lyon was the most you know, talkative to me. He'd probably, you know, come up to me and, you know, ask how things are going and then that sort of stuff, which I really appreciated, which was pretty cool. But yeah, everyone was, you know, quite, you know, very friendly and very nice. So met Josh Hazelwood as well a couple of weeks before when he was bowling to us at the junction. So yeah, it was just a really cool experience just to, you know, meet the guys and yeah, sort of the guys you see on TV who, you know, you're trying to one day play with. So yeah, it was really cool.
So how was the experience? Because you suddenly got into the field. Like, tell us about that time. Like, what happened exactly?
Yeah, so it's a pretty funny one. So during the lunch break, I was facing Josh Hazlewood and Lance Morris, and that was pretty much during the whole lunch break. So me and Lance, who were the substitute fielders, I suppose. So we didn't have time to eat lunch. So when play started, Lance was having his lunch, and I was just on the field acting as the sub fielder. Where I think it was Nathan Lyon took a dive and I think maybe hurt his side, and there was no one to go on except myself. So I had to go on, take the vest off, and sort of warm up the hands. I was pretty nervous, and then I run onto the field, and then I think someone must have told Lance that someone's got to go on, and I've already gone on. And then I look behind me, and he's calling me to sub off. So I was pretty much only there for I don't know, a good part of 15 seconds or so. And yeah, I mean that was pretty full on. Like I'm going on, and the crowd's cheering, and then I'm coming off, and the crowd's booing. So it was a pretty cool moment. Definitely something I'll remember for a long time. That's pretty much how that sort of happened.
So you just need the Australian cap now because you have faced the Australian quality bowlers, you have been on the field. You just need the Australian cap now. So.
Oh well, certainly working towards it, but yeah, I think there's a lot of work to go for myself personally. Lots of stuff to work on, and hopefully down the track one day that happens. But certainly got to work for it.
So what are your targets for this season? Because you scored good amount of runs in the last season, and now you have the white ball team. You are in the white ball team as well, or?
I haven't played Marsh Cup yet, so that's definitely would be a target. There's probably a few players that are probably ahead of me, so I've got to work on my white ball game as well to sort of reach that. So hopefully, at some stage, maybe not this season, but maybe the next. I can sort of play some white ball stuff. But if I get to play some more Shield games this year, that'll be great, and hopefully score some runs in the process. That'll be good, and obviously some wins. Probably one thing I noticed last year is that when we had that string of wins, there is no better feeling than winning a Shield game for Victoria. That's definitely the main target.
Actually, coming back to one of the main questions, how do you think Australian cricket in terms of inclusivity and everything is progressing ahead? Because when you meet people think that you're Sri Lankan, and you say that you're Australian, and you are. I'm telling you, like having a chat with you, I can understand that. Yeah, you have that Australian energy, but people often mistook you like as a Sri Lankan player. So, how do you think like Australian Cricket Association has been good in managing that?
It's a pretty interesting one. I think probably following my debut, it sort of like opened my eyes up a little bit, where people would be talking about what sort of ethnicity I am and that sort of stuff. Where before all that, I just thought I was Australian. Like if someone asked me, I'd say I'm Australian. But someone looking at me would probably not think that. So it was an interesting one because I don't really see my parents are from Sri Lanka, so but I don't really see myself as Sri Lankan. And some of my Sri Lankan friends don't really see me as Sri Lankan either. So it was sort of like the Sri Lankans don't reckon I'm Sri Lankan, and the Aussies, if someone saw me on the street, wouldn't think I'm Australian. So it's sort of like, if I'm not Sri Lankan, not Australian, then who sort of am I? But I mean that was a sort of interesting part that I sort of opened up to. But yeah, I think there's been more sort of diversity in sort of cricket, I suppose. There's a few in Queensland, in New South Wales. So I think that's sort of on its way. But I haven't really given it a lot of thought, to be fair. I've just been trying on my own journey. But I'm sure that'll come along the way.
You're trying to learn Sinhalese, or?
I actually can't speak Sinhalese, but I've probably picked up maybe a couple of words. But yeah, definitely can't speak, can't string a sentence together, unfortunately. But yeah, I'll work on it.
That's really great. Ashley, thank you so much for being here with us. And it's really great chatting with you, getting to know your uh, mind behind the next season, upcoming season, and like what you're aspiring for. I hope you open for Australia pretty soon because David Warner is getting retired, and I don't see a lot of people getting in line before you. So I would like to interview you as soon as you open for Australia. So I will meet you there. Don't worry. So thank you, Ashley, for being here, and I hope you enjoyed this interview.
No, thank you. My pleasure being here. Happy to be here, and yeah, I enjoyed myself.
So this was the second episode for this season, and we will be back with another banging episode. So stay tuned with Sports Chat and log on to mojonews.com for more episodes. So thank you guys and have a great night.